My son looked me in the eyes and said, "Dad, let me take care of you. Sign the house over to me, and you'll never have to worry about anything again." I was 71 years old. My wife had passed 2 years earlier, and I believed him because he was my son. 3 months after I signed those papers, I came home to find the locks changed, my clothes in garbage bags on the porch, and a note taped to the door. "You need to find somewhere else to live." My name is Harold Mitchell. I'm 73 years old now, and this is the story of how my own son tried to steal my house, and how one mistake in the paperwork saved everything. I built that house in 1978, literally built it, with my own hands and a crew of 3 guys from the construction company I work for. It's a modest place, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, on a quarter-acre in Salem, Oregon. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. My wife Eleanor and I raised 2 kids there, Michael and Sarah. We had barbecues in that backyard, birthday parties, Christmas mornings. 52 years of life lived in those rooms. Eleanor died in 2021. Cancer. It was quick, which the doctors said was a blessing. But it didn't feel like one. After 50 years of marriage, the house felt too big, too quiet, too full of memories. Michael started calling more often after that. He'd always been the attentive one. Sarah lived in Boston with her family. 3 kids, busy life. We talked once a month, maybe. But Michael lived 30 minutes away in Portland. He had 2 daughters and a wife named Jennifer. At first, the calls were nice. "Just checking on you, Dad. Do you need anything? Want to come over for dinner?" Then the suggestions started. "Dad, you're forgetting to pay bills. I found 3 notices on your counter." "Dad, maybe you shouldn't be driving so much. Your reflexes aren't what they used to be." "Dad, this house is too much for you to maintain. Have you thought about downsizing?" I hadn't forgotten to pay bills. I'd just been late on a few because I was still figuring out Eleanor's system. She'd always handled the finances, and my driving was fine. I got in 1 parking ticket in 53 years. But Michael was persistent, and I started to wonder if maybe he was right. Maybe I was getting too old. Maybe I didn't need help. 6 months after Eleanor passed, Michael brought over a lawyer. His name was Dennis Carr. Young guy, maybe 35, with an expensive suit and a briefcase. "Dad, Dennis is going to help us with some estate planning," Michael said. "Just making sure everything's protected." We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Eleanor and I had shared breakfast for decades. Dennis spread papers across it. "Mr. Mitchell, your son is concerned about your well-being," Dennis began. "He suggested we do a simple property transfer. Signing the house over to him now avoids estate taxes later, protects the asset, and most importantly, ensures you're taken care of." "What does that mean exactly?" I asked. "It means the house becomes Michael's property," Dennis explained. "But you continue living here. Nothing changes for you day to day. You just don't have to worry about maintenance, taxes, any of that. Michael handles it all." Michael leaned forward. "Dad, it's what Mom would have wanted. Keeping things simple, making sure you're not burdened." I looked at my son, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike, who I'd helped through college, who'd asked me to walk him through building his first deck last summer. "You'll take care of everything?" I asked. "Everything, Dad. I promise." So I signed. Dennis pointed to lines on multiple documents. "Here, here, and here." I signed them all. Michael and Jennifer both signed as witnesses. Dennis notarized everything. Then they left, taking the papers with them. "We'll file these with the county," Dennis said. "You'll get copies in the mail." For the first 2 months, nothing changed. Michael called regularly, stopped by once a week, brought his daughters to visit. Everything seemed normal. Then Jennifer started hinting about changes. "Harold, have you thought about what you'd do with all this space if you ever moved? This neighborhood is getting so valuable. Houses are selling for twice what they cost 10 years ago." Michael and I were thinking, with the girls getting older, we could really use more room. I didn't think much of it, just conversation. But then Michael sat me down one evening. "Dad, Jennifer and I have been talking. With the girls in middle school now, we need a bigger place. And you're here alone in this big house. What if we made a change?" "What kind of change?" "What if you moved somewhere smaller, more manageable? We could sell this place, and the money would cover a nice apartment for you. Maybe one of those senior communities with activities and meals included." My chest tightened. "This is my home, Michael." "I know, Dad. but it's also a lot for you to handle. And honestly, Jennifer and I could really use it. We're outgrowing our place. So you want me to move out so you can move in? Not exactly. We'd sell it and get something bigger. But yeah, essentially, I don't want to move. Michael's face hardened. Dad, the house is in my name now. Remember? We did the transfer. But you said nothing would change. That I'd keep living here. That was the plan. But circumstances change. And legally, it's my decision now. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the papers I'd signed, about how quickly everything had shifted, about my son's expression when he said, "It's my decision now." The next morning, I called Sarah in Boston. "Dad, hi. Everything okay?" I explained what happened. The transfer. Michael's request that I move out. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Dad, did you have your own lawyer look at those papers?" Michael brought a lawyer. Dennis something. Michael's lawyer. Not yours. I didn't think I needed one. He's my son. Dad, I'm coming out there. Don't sign anything else. Don't agree to anything. Just wait. Sarah flew out 2 days later. She brought her husband, Tom, who was a real estate attorney in Massachusetts. We sat at that same kitchen table where I'd signed away my house. Tom reviewed copies of the documents I'd received in the mail. "This is bad," Tom said after 20 minutes of reading. "Harold, you transferred full ownership to Michael. There's no life estate provision, no clause ensuring your right to remain in the home. You essentially gave him the house with no protections for yourself. But he promised. Promises don't hold up in court. Contracts do. And this contract gives you nothing." Sarah's eyes were filled with tears. "How could he do this?" "We need to figure out if there's any way to challenge this," Tom said. He pulled out his phone. "I'm going to call a colleague who practices property law in Oregon." While Tom made calls, Sarah held my hand. "We're going to fix this, Dad." But I wasn't sure we could. I'd signed the papers. Willingly. In front of a notary. How do you undo that? Tom came back an hour later with a different expression. "There might be something. My colleague wants to see the original documents. Not the copies. The actual papers filed with the county." "Why?" I asked. "Because sometimes, in the rush to process things, mistakes happen. Missing signatures. Incorrect notarization. Filing errors. Long shot, but worth checking." The next day, Tom and Sarah went to the county recorder's office. I stayed home, pacing my living room. The room where Eleanor and I had watched our kids grow up. Where we'd celebrated anniversaries. Where I'd held her hand during her last weeks. My phone rang at 2 p.m. Sarah. "Dad, we found something." "What?" "The deed transfer was supposed to require 2 witness signatures. It only has 1. "What does that mean?" Tom took the phone. "Harold, it means the transfer is invalid. Incomplete. According to Oregon law, a property deed transfer requires 2 disinterested witnesses or proper notarization with specific procedures. This has 1 witness signature, Jennifer's, and the notarization is incorrect. Dennis didn't follow proper procedure. So the house is still mine? Legally, yes. The transfer never actually happened. It was filed, but it's defective." I sat down. My house was still mine. After 3 months of worry and sleepless nights, it was still mine. "What do we do now?" I asked. "We file a motion to void the deed. Shouldn't be complicated since the error is clear. But Harold, you need to know something. Michael will fight this. It's going to get ugly." He was right. When Michael found out we were challenging the deed, he exploded. Showed up at my door with Jennifer and Dennis the lawyer. "What the hell are you doing?" Michael shouted. "We had an agreement. We had your promise that I could stay in my home," I said quietly. "You broke that. I'm trying to help you. You're too old to live alone. What happens when you fall? When you can't take care of yourself? Then I'll deal with it. But not by losing my home." Jennifer stepped forward. "Harold, we've already started looking at properties. Made plans. You're being selfish." Selfish. The word stung. "I built this house. Your husband grew up here. And I'm selfish for not wanting to be thrown out." Dennis cleared his throat. "Mr. Mitchell, if you pursue this, it will cost you. Legal fees, court costs, and frankly, the deed was properly notarized. You'll lose." Actually, Tom appeared in the doorway behind me. "The deed is missing a required witness signature, and the notarization doesn't meet Oregon statutory requirements. We've already filed a motion to void it." Dennis's face went pale. He grabbed his briefcase. I need to review the file. After they left, I sat on my porch. The same porch where I'd taught Michael to tie his shoes when he was 4. Where Eleanor and I had coffee every Sunday morning. Where I planned to sit until I died. Sarah sat beside me. "You okay, Dad?" "He's my son," I said. "How'd it come to this?" "I don't know. But Tom and I aren't going anywhere until this is resolved." The legal battle took 3 months. Michael hired a different lawyer. They argued that the missing signature was a minor technicality, that my intent to transfer the property was clear, that I was being manipulated by Sarah. Tom presented the facts: improper notarization, missing required signature, and most importantly, Michael's immediate attempt to evict me despite promises otherwise. Evidence of bad faith. The judge ruled in my favor. The deed transfer was void. The house remained in my name. Michael was ordered to pay court costs for filing a defective document. I expected Michael to call, to apologize, to explain, but he didn't. 6 months passed. Nothing. Sarah called him repeatedly. He wouldn't answer. Then, a year after the court ruling, my doorbell rang. Michael stood there, alone. He looked older, tired. "Can we talk?" he asked. We sat on the porch, silent for a long time. Finally, Michael spoke. "Jennifer and I are separated. She's the one who pushed all of this. The house, moving you out, everything. She convinced me it was the right thing, that we deserved it after all we'd done for you. You could have said no." "I know." His voice broke. "I know, Dad. And I didn't. I chose my wife's ambition over my own father. And I'm sorry. That doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry." I looked at my son. Really looked at him. He was 52 years old. Gray in his hair now. Lines around his eyes. But still the boy I'd raised. "Why now?" I asked. "Why apologize now?" "Because my daughters won't talk to me." Sarah told them what happened. "They think I'm a monster. And they're not wrong. They're not completely right either," I said. "You made a terrible choice. But you're still their father. Still my son. How can you say that after what I tried to do?" "Because I spent 50 years with a woman who taught me that people make mistakes. Sometimes terrible ones. And forgiveness isn't about saying it's okay. It's about choosing not to let the mistake define everything." Michael cried. Really cried. Maybe for the first time since he was a child. We didn't fix everything that day. Trust doesn't rebuild that fast. But we started. Slowly. Michael began calling again. Not every day, but regularly. He brought his daughters to visit. We grilled burgers in the backyard like we used to. Jennifer filed for divorce 6 months later. Turned out her interest in the house wasn't about family space. She'd been planning to flip it, sell it for profit. Michael found emails on their shared computer. Plans she'd made with a realtor. Numbers calculated. She'd orchestrated the whole thing. Sarah and her family visit twice a year now. They stay in the guest room, the one that used to be Michael's. His daughters have sleepovers here sometimes. The house is full of life again. Different life, but still life. Last month, I updated my will. The house will be split between Michael and Sarah. But there's a provision. It can't be sold for 10 years after my death. They can live in it, rent it, but not sell it. I want them to remember it's not just property. It's a home. Their home. The place where they grew up. Tom helped me draft the documents. Proper signatures. Proper notarization. Everything legal and airtight. "You're being generous to Michael after what he did," Tom said. "He's my son," I replied. "He made a mistake. A big one. But he's trying to make it right. That's more than a lot of people do." Today, I'm 73 years old. I still live in a house I built 46 years ago. I still have coffee on the porch every Sunday morning. And sometimes, when I'm sitting there, I think about that note taped to my door. "You need to find somewhere else to live." I think about how close I came to losing everything. Not just the house, but my dignity, my independence, my sense of self. And I think about that one missing signature. That one small administrative error that saved me. People say everything happens for a reason. I don't know if I believe that. But I do believe that sometimes mistakes work in your favor. And sometimes the thing that looks like the end is actually a second chance. Michael came by yesterday. Brought pizza. We ate on the porch and watched his daughters play in the yard. The same yard where he used to play. Where Eleanor and I used to watch him. "Dad," he said quietly. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up on me. Even when I gave you every reason to." I put my hand on his shoulder. You're my son. That doesn't change. No matter what. Later, after they left, I walked through the house. Every room holding memories. Eleanor's chair by the window. The mark on the wall where Sarah measured the kids' heights. The kitchen where we'd shared 10,000 meals. My house. Still my house. Because of one missing signature. Because I had family who fought for me. Because I refused to just disappear when someone decided I was inconvenient. I'm 73 years old, and I learned something important these past few years. You can't assume people will do right by you just because they're family. Trust is earned, protected, and when it's broken, it takes real work to rebuild. But it can be rebuilt if both sides are willing to try. That's worth more than any house. Even this one.